Hello, I am Soyoung, and I will present our paper of Unsupervised Document Expansion for Information Retrieval with Stochastic Text Generation. And this is the overview of the presentation. Information retrieval is the task of retrieving the most relevant documents for a given query, and there are two types of the retrieval models, sparse and dense retrieval models. Sparse retrieval models measure lexical overlaps between query and document pairs. Even though they are simple, they achieve decent performance. However, they are vulnerable to the vocabulary mismatch problem, which happens when the terms between queries and documents are lexically different but semantically similar. Dense retrieval models can alleviate this problem through a dense representation space. However, they are based on supervised learning and usually require a large number of query document pairs. Therefore, we should address these limitations of both sparse and dense models about the vocabulary mismatch problem and the need for a large amount of paired training data, respectively. Along this line, there are methods that expand queries and documents with their relevant terms, which are query expansion and document expansion. Compared to query expansion, document expansion has two strengths. First, a document expansion model can generate much more relevant terms for the given document, since documents are generally much longer than queries. Second, document expansion is more appropriate for a real-time system, since documents can be expanded during indexing time so that the responding process for the user's query is not delayed. Therefore, in this work, we focus on document expansion and propose to abstractly generate the key information corresponding to the given document in an unsupervised manner and named it as the Unsupervised Document Expansion with Generation Framework, in short, UDEC framework. We first generate document-related sentences using a pre-trained language model, and then stack up the newly generated sentences on the original documents to enrich the expressiveness of document representation. Specifically, in order to generate sentences containing particular information for the documents, we use a language model that is fine-tuned on summarizing tasks. However, such a scheme generates only one static sentence at a time, so we further propose to stochastically generate multiple relevant sentences for the given document. This helps the proposed UDEC framework to minimize the vocabulary mismatch cases by generating many relevant words. This is the overall framework of the UDEC framework, where the example is generated from our framework. Given an original document in a green box, the UDEC framework stochastically generates several sentences relevant to the given document, as you can see in the orange box, and then augments the generated sentences to the input document. After every document in the corpus is expanded, documents are indexed in the IR system and searched in response to the given query. Next, I will briefly introduce related work. The first work proposed a generative query expansion model, which expands queries using generation schemes. The second work proposed a supervised document expansion model, which is trained on query document pairs supervisedly. The third work proposed a key phrase-based document expansion model, which has to be trained from scratch on a specific domain. Next, I will explain the method of the proposed framework. Our goal is to expand the document for the IR task by generating document-related text, which contains novel but semantically similar terms for the given document without using query document pairs. I will first introduce the extractive and abstractive text generation schemes, and then further introduce a stochastic generation scheme for a richer expression. The extractive text generation model selects the representative words or sentences on the given document and enriches the document's representation by counting important terms multiple times. However, it is highly restricted since novel words cannot be generated. To overcome this limitation, we further consider an abstractive text generation method. Even though the abstractive generation scheme can generate novel terms that are not included in the original document, a major drawback of this scheme is that it generates only one single sequence, but the terms within the document can have many synonymous expressions. To overcome this limitation, we further propose to stochastically generate terms for the given document by perturbing its embeddings by applying a Monte Carlo dropout. As a result, multiple sentences can be generated. This table shows the specific examples of the generated text from different text generation schemes. Note that the examples of stochastic generation are more relevant to the document and more diverse. From now on, I will explain the experimental setups. For the dataset, we use two IR benchmark datasets. NTIC dataset is collected from Yahoo Answer and MS Marco dataset is collected from Bing search engine. However, due to the limited computational resources, we randomly sampled 1 million passages for MS Marco. We use two sparse retrieval models that are widely used for IR systems, which are BM25 and QL. We conduct experiments with four types of expansion models, which are the naive model without expansion, core expansion model, extractive document expansion models, and abstractive document expansion models. For an abstractive text generation model, we used a pre-trained language model named Pegasus fine-tuned on the XM dataset. Also, we set the number of stochastically generated sentences as 4. Next, I will show the experimental results and discuss them. Our UDEC framework significantly outperforms all baselines in all evaluation metrics on both datasets. Note that the retrieval performance of QL is impressively enhanced with UDEC. UDEC outperforms the extractive baselines. Interestingly, even though Pegasus EXT and UDEC are both pre-trained on the same Pegasus pipeline, the extractive generation scheme is ineffective since it cannot solve the vocabulary mismatch problem. However, the proposed UDEC framework can solve it by generating novel words, which demonstrates the effectiveness of the abstractive generation scheme. To validate the robustness of our framework on different language models, we compare the performance of Pegasus and BART. As shown in the figure, the UDEC framework with Pegasus shows similar performance compared to the UDEC with BART, and both of them consistently outperform the naive baseline without expansions. This result shows that the UDEC framework does not depend on a specific language model, but robustly improves the retrieval performance. We compare two stochastic generation strategies, MC dropout and top K sampling. As shown in the left figure, the MC dropout strategy outperforms the top K sampling strategy. Where does this performance difference come from? As the right figure shows, the lexical diversities of the generated sentences by top K sampling are consistently lower and drop more rapidly than that by MC dropout. This indicates that MC dropout makes more diverse terms across sentences compared to top K sampling. To understand how stochastically generated sentences with MC dropout improves the retrieval performance, we experiment our UDEC with a varying number of generated sentences on BM25 and QL. The figure shows that the performance of both models tend to improve with increasing numbers of expanded sentences. Interestingly, QL is largely improved as stochastically generated sentences are stacked up to the original document. However, the performance is slightly dropped when expanded 5 sentences for BM25. This result implies that setting an appropriate number of generated sentences is important for optimal results. We conduct a case study to explore the strengths of the UDEC framework. The table shows the example of successfully retrieved expanded document with the UDEC framework compared to the original document without expansion. The generated terms are highlighted in red if the terms are novel but relevant to the document, and further highlighted in bold if the novel terms appear in the query. Note that the original document with a lower rank gets a higher rank after applying the UDEC framework. Finally, I will summarize and talk about the contributions. In this work, we present the novel UDEC framework that augments a document with abstractly generated sentences without using paired query document data to solve the vocabulary mismatch problem. Specifically, we generate document-related sentences with a pre-trained language model and further stochastically generate diverse sentences. We show that our framework achieves outstanding performance on IR benchmark datasets. We believe that benefits of UREG would allow further improvements on any IR system targeting at scholarly and scientific information. Thank you.